You're listening to the Ask Drone U podcast. You ask, we answer your drone questions. Whether you're here to turn your passion into profit or you simply fly for fun, we're a community of learners and teachers who aspire to achieve greatness. We are
Drone U.
Hey everyone, welcome back for another episode of Ask Drone U, shot here at Drone U Studios in lovely Loveland, Colorado, where we go above and beyond flight school to provide you with the best information to navigate this ever-growing industry. And we are grateful that you're here because we've got a show today talking about New Year drone insights and predictions. We believe that there's a specific wave of jobs it's already going on right now, but it's going to even go exponential this year. So we're going to be talking about those insights and predictions. As always, my name is Paul.
My name is Rob. Super happy to be here with you all and very, very grateful that you're spending a few minutes of your very busy day with us.
Definitely very grateful for you.
100%. Yes. AskDroneU.com. Get those questions in.
You want to go ahead and play the question just right away, brought to you by our lovely Drone U members who take advantage of over 40 classes. Turn their passion into profit.
Wow. Here we go. Tom again.
Hey, Paul and Rob, Tom again. Hey, now that we are almost in 2023, I am wondering if we can get some of your predictions for quarter one and quarter two. I'm just kind of interested in what you think may be coming out drone-wise, if there are any new and upcoming manufacturers we should be on the lookout, any new softwares that we should be looking for, watching for, and just kind of what you think the industry is going to be doing the first half of the year. All right, thanks again.
Thanks, Tom. You're the bomb. Appreciate your questions. Always very thoughtful and make us think.
Definitely make us think. I wanted to be sarcastic and be like, in quarter one, we're going to see a $1.2345 billion increase in the expenditures on drones. But we obviously don't know those economic details. But I think it is very clear where the industry will be going and who it will be going to. There was one point we didn't talk about on the last show. Professionalism.
That's a big one.
And I think that
you know my feelings on that in this industry.
Well, maybe we should hit that before we hit this huge push in jobs, because I think it's something that needs to be talked about. You're a little bit better about talking about the hard stuff.
Oh, I don't know about this one.
I don't know. I get pretty savage, so I think you're a lot nicer. So as others have doodly noted on YouTube. So yes, I'm savage because reality is real. So
stop it.
That said,
it's a new year.
It's a beautiful year. So we've got three subjects that we want to hit on insights and predictions. Huge pushes for particular jobs. What are we talking about? The infrastructure bill that Congress passed has a desire to create a digital twin or digital inventory of every piece of infrastructure in this country. So I think that's going to be huge. Point number two that we want to talk about is who are these jobs going to, which it's going to be the people who are good at communication, that are professional. And we're going to be talking about how the drone industry has already been kind of weeding out professionals who have a lack of professionalism. And we're going to also be talking about kind of just a macro succinct view of recession is coming, should this impact your strategy whatsoever. We talked about this at length in our last show, but we'll just succinctly hit that. And then we will also talk about the elephant in the room, which is about domestic drones. With what DJI is doing with their SDK, their payload SDK, merging PSDK and ASDK together and eliminating third-party applications and, trying to do lots of different things. I think the trend of domestic drones continues to progress. Sony's getting more serious about their drones, albeit kind of facing a limited flight time. We're seeing free fly systems just continue to develop new camera systems and new drones. We're seeing people like Watts Innovations crush it with people like Walmart. And we're also seeing a new drone manufacturer, and I'm not going to say who, but could absolutely crush the game. They have systems and manufacturing plants.
And some smart leadership.
And some incredibly brilliant leadership that even Skydio doesn't have. When I say Skydio doesn't have it, the systems. They're obviously the biggest. They obviously have
they're obviously incredibly smart people over there.
They are very, very, very smart people over there, and we wish everyone over there a successful year as well. Because honestly, at the end of the day, we do want a really good domestic manufacturer, and we don't want to implement that whatsoever. But that said, I think there is another manufacturer that's going to pop up this year. I am not going to say who it is because I don't want to. I don't want.
Part of it, it's not our place at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good way to put it. Moving on. Do you want to hit professionalism, or you want to hit the first point on the huge push for drone jobs this year and that change?
Okay, so one of the things that you should try to do in 2023 is make yourself more uncomfortable.
Ooh, I like that.
Push yourself. And so by talking about professionalism in the drone industry, I'm going to make myself uncomfortable.
Before you make yourself uncomfortable, I found a very interesting statistic from Think Impact, which does the biggest study on entrepreneurs for SBA. And listen to this. The number one most important trait of entrepreneurs is communication, which I think goes right into professionalism. So I'm just going to tee Rob up with that.
Preach it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just let me give you a little bit of background. So many of you already know, most of you probably don't, that I came out of college, university, and started in the public accounting realm. So we wore suits and ties every day, except for weddings. The last time was my son's wedding. I hope I don't have to wear ties and suits. I'm very thankful that we don't do that. But
damn Catholic
the point
school.
is, in a very, very professional environment. Fine. That's probably, a CPA firm that's going to be at the top of professionalism in terms of how you present yourself, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I went from there to a mortgage company, still very professional. People are spending a lot of money. I don't need to belabor the point. It's more of a professional environment. Moved into the drone industry. And mind you, part of my role at Drone U over the years has been customer interface and talking to people that are not always happy. The level of unprofessionalism that I have seen in the drone space, in the drone industry, I ain't gonna lie to you. It sucks. And I've told Paul that. What does that mean for you? Man, there's an opportunity. If you can step your game up, be responsible, take responsibility. Sorry, that's redundant. Communicate well. Lead in your communication, meaning don't wait. For example, you have bad news, go to people with, this is something we learned, well, I learned in both of the industries I was in before, especially mortgages. Somebody has these big expectations and it's not going to work out for them. You go to them with, here's what we're dealing with, but here's a solution, or here's a couple of other options. Always go with a solution or two to what the challenge is. Communicate well, be respectful. Man, the things that I and we have been called by people in the drone industry
that don't even know us.
I cannot even fathom. It fascinates me, the people in this industry, and obviously not everybody. I mention this because I want us to raise the bar for this industry. It doesn't have to be this way. I want us to weed those people out. Those people that would have the internet courage, that's the antithesis of true courage, right?
Yeah.
To say some of the things that they say on the internet directly to me and directly to our people and directly to each other. Holy cow. It's ridiculous.
Got a little bit too much time on your hands.
We got to raise the bar. So when I talk about professionalism in the industry, please help us out here.
Would you agree, Rob, that some of the most successful people that you have ever met have an obscenely good skill at listening, not reacting, being slow to judgment? Would you say that the most successful people you've ever met in this world have an innate ability to calm themselves down in a moment of anger? They don't react. They think things through. They let time pass, but they overall they're meta aware, meaning they're aware of their actions. They're aware of how they are, and they understand. And this is something that hit me too. The most successful people that I know are very stoic, and I'm not stoic. I'm outspoken, and I've been challenged in that. And that's actually why I'm kind of grateful for some of the people who have said what they have said online. I'm actually grateful for it. You know why? Because it's actually shown me, look, if you handle these issues and if you work through these things to become a better person, you will literally supercharge way past all these people, all this competition. And we already
Yes.
have. And so, you know what? It goes to show that putting your head down, working on yourself, working on that emotional reactions, when you do things that are uncomfortable all the time as well, you're going to build up that natural inclination to not react to things.
Well, it'll serve you well.
Yeah, exactly. You're only making yourself better, which ultimately will only make your business better.
There's some people that I can specifically think of some that unless they were drowning, and I would save their life, I would help them.
That's
But
where we differ.
No, that is not true. I know you. But do I want to help them make their business better? And they'd probably say, I don't need your help, blah, 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 and probably do a lot of cussing in the meantime. That's fine. But here's what I want to say. Allow me to bring a thought from the Bible. Slow to anger, slow to speak, quick to listen. Man, that's great advice.
You know, I
Very
know
simple.
people may poo-poo on the Bible, but man, you look at any entrepreneurial guru or Buddhist or anything, and they're all teaching the same stuff.
Yeah,
It's
that's true.
no different. Anyway, okay,
Yeah,
let's get into the positive.
Let's
the
do.
last point about professionalism, I think the industry is already weeding those people out.
I think so.
And I think sometimes ego gets in the way of being able to see that. I want to provide a resource for you because if there's some of you out there that are like me that are challenged to be stoic and are challenged to listen and not respond, I'd like to recommend a book for you. It's called Mind Hacking Happiness. And it goes to explain that emotion is actually a simple formula. So all you math wizards and nerds out there might get really, really stoked right now. But emotion is as simple as the expectation that you have divided by the perception that was reality equals your emotional response. So let's say you go into a scenario, you want a podcast with Rob, your expectation is that it's going to go really well, but Rob asked you a really tough question that you're not prepared for. So your perception is negative, equals emotional response. You get nervous, you get weak in the knees, you start to shake, you start to show all those negative emotions. That book really illustrates so very well how you can overcome that, but it's not suppressing emotion. It's allowing emotion to, happen, but it's suppressing the reaction. So you're not suppressing the emotion, but rather allowing that emotion to happen. You're just not showing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you need to show it, I will say one thing that my dad got right in raising me is as an ADD kid is exercise. And I never realized just how important that is for mental health as well.
Yeah.
That's been the one thing that dragged me out of a very depressing time, in 2020 of a divorce of a business partner and all that, it caused some self-doubt. So that's something that I had to come to terms with as well. So anyway.
Let's talk about the fun stuff, the jobs.
Yeah.
What's
Rob.
coming up?
Hey, we did something uncomfortable, so yeah. All right. And thank you.
We lost everybody in the meantime.
No, thank you for talking about that. I think it's hard to talk about it, but it's imperative. So let's go into the fun stuff. Look, there are, in my opinion, 2 verticals of drone jobs that are absolutely going to skyrocket this year. I think that there already are. And when I mean 2 verticals, these verticals could go to other industry verticals as well. So industry verticals that I'm thinking of is everything to do with infrastructure jobs. With that new infrastructure bill, the U.S. government really wants to digitize and create an inventory of all of our bridges, our roads, our dams, but have a very real lifelike inventory of those assets. And so a lot of you people might be like, well, doesn't the U.S. government already have an inventory of those assets with Google Maps? The answer is no, because the Department of Defense has limited the resolution of satellite-based imagery in this country because of, national security. So with drones, we can get much better detail. We can get much better measurements, angles, azimuths, etc. And so I think when it comes to cellular inspections, bridge inspections, dam inspections, road inspections, and most importantly, electrical inspections. Okay, I've been writing a lot of articles about the M30T by DJI. You want to know why? Because in every single one of those examples that I just mentioned, you're going to need a camera payload like what the M30T has. It's got a high-res thermal. It's got an insane zoom camera. And everyone's like, well, Paul, why not just use the H20T on the M300? No, because that's a 20 megapixel sensor at 200 times zoom when I have a 48 megapixel sensor at 200 times zoom. And yeah, you might have more optical zoom, but it's only 4x more. I mean, not 400% more, but literally going from, say, 20 times zoom to 30 times or 24 times zoom. That's the difference in that optical zoom on that platform. Look, the M30T is going to allow you to inspect those bridges, those dams, create orthomosaics, not at high resolution. I'd prefer to use a different drone, but you can get it done. So I think this year, if you're not already working and building relationships with engineering firms, road construction firms, bridge construction firms, cellular firms, you may miss out on the golden era of drone work. Mm-hmm. Think about this, right? There is a Zillow, there is a Realtor.com, there's MLS. There are so many different sites that create inventories of homes for sale. We're already seeing that happen in the cell tower world. How long will it take until that exists for power lines? How long will it take for that to exist for roads? And they're building it right now.
Yeah.
And here's the other interesting part. This is something I wanted to tell you. A lot of this work has to be done in a government-friendly format. The government is typically using Esri for most of this type of work. So you know what Esri uses for their photogrammetric processing to build the inventory of these assets? That's right, Pix4D. So our mapping class just got a whole lot more valuable. So anyway.
Well, what are some other industries? I mean, I think of a couple things that I'm aware of that I know companies are looking for a lot of pilots is in the ag space. That's one of them.
Yes.
And then I think with our partner out in North Carolina, the kinds of things they're already doing with their cleaning drones and the things they're going to be doing with those drones, there's a lot of opportunity there as well.
Well, and that actually goes right into the infrastructure bill as well, because it's creating smart cities and autonomous systems to keep our cities cleaner, to keep them running more efficiently and operating better. And companies like Lucid Drone Technologies is absolutely crushing the game. Mm-hmm. I cannot believe what pilots are getting paid to fly that cleaning drone. We have the Lucid Drone training course. It's lucid.props. Is it Props Flight School or lucid.props.com?
Lucid.propsflightschool.com.
Yeah, and you can check out the training course there if you're interested in flying those drones. Lucid is actively looking for a significant amount of pilots.
All over the country.
And those jobs pay very, very, very well. Yeah, lucid.propsflightschool.com if you want to check it out. But think about this. Everything I just mentioned in a digital twin, most of those assets would be 2D maps, orthomosaics, non-georeference stuff, but they're going to need 3D models as well. And so if you are not moving into the bigger, better drones, you need to be. I recently posted the best drone for the money and got a comment on Instagram like, that drone costs a lot of money. It's like, well, then you're not making enough money. Because honestly, in 1 year, I was able to bring almost 200 grand in with a Phantom. Right? I could definitely afford an M30T. If you're not doing jobs that are paying enough to cover that drone in 3 or 4 jobs, then maybe it's time to reconsider what your margins look like and what your value is. Because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, it is all about your ability to sell yourself, showcase a specific solution to a problem, and showcase that in a story. I've seen people who are terrible drone pilots get incredibly good paying jobs, all because they knew how to tell a story. I mean, I've seen guys literally do mapping jobs for like $35,000 that another pilot was like, I'll do it for $1,700. I mean, seriously. And the guy who had the higher price point got the job because the client was so confused why the price deviation was so large.
It scared him to pay less. Yeah. That's a good tactic.
Yeah, well, it goes back into pricing theory, which we all think doesn't work, but it does. It defies common sense. If you haven't looked that up, make sure you look that up. We've talked about professionalism. We've talked about the huge push for these jobs, which I believe are going to be in power infrastructure, road infrastructure. Rob mentioned ag. Another big thing that we're seeing, and we just trained the Rio Grande Conservatory Group for doing exactly this, which is water management. That's a part of our infrastructure as well in this country. And so all these opportunities are popping up. And the interesting thing is that the established businesses, the businesses that already exist, the traditional businesses, they're getting these jobs because they know how to go after government contracts, but they don't know how to do the drone stuff. And so we're seeing a lot of opportunities pop up for those pilots. Now, we talked also about the move in domestic drones. We've talked about the recession incoming. If these jobs are government financed through GSA, that means that there's a lot of job security in these infrastructure jobs, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we all know the government is probably not going to stop spending money, particularly in an area like infrastructure that I think the government agrees, no matter the side perspective, whatever, that our infrastructure is ailing, to say the least, and it needs significant upgrading. And so there's got to be some inventorying done, and then there's going to be construction going on relative to that. And that's going to be, who knows? 30-year project, right? I mean, that's going to go on for 100%. a long time.
But we're seeing this happen right here. I mean, we're in the middle of updating some of our infrastructure inspection courses, like our cell tower inspection course. And we mapped this cell tower right here on 287. And literally, what was it, 2 weeks later, that American Tower actually came out and did the same thing?
Yeah, and they were out there adding to it substantially yesterday.
Yeah, they added like 10 feet of pole to put more antennas on. So we are literally seeing the impact of this bill right now.
And we can't necessarily speak to the rest of the country. We'd love to hear from you guys in terms of what's going on in your area. Obviously, there are some areas that are more depressed than others, and there's some areas that are doing really, really well. The area that we're in happens to be doing really, really well, and there's still a ton of construction. I mean, if you drive down, well, first of all, if you drive down to Denver via I-25, the construction along I-25, including on I-25, which is a federal project, is incredible. And then you go into Denver, North Denver alone, there's probably 7 cranes off to the east.
There's so many cranes. It's actually, by the way, the number of cranes was an economic indicator for some of our past presidents, by the way. So
interesting.
So if you look at where we moved from and where we moved to here, no cranes to cranes everywhere.
Oh, man. God bless New Mexico. I still love New Mexico.
You know, our model that works here, Lacey, I was talking to her about this because she moved from New Mexico too, but she moved to Texas. And I said, okay, give it to me real, Lacey. Like, the only thing I really miss from New Mexico is the food. Like, I really miss the food. The weather was really great as well. Everything else I could go without. And her response was so well said. She's like, Paul, it really depresses me because New Mexico is a really beautiful place and the food is amazing. But man, the leadership has ruined that place and it has no hope. And I was just like, that's kind of well said, She's not wrong.
She's not wrong.
There are some really great people in New Mexico.
She's not wrong.
So anyway, It's just sad. But here we are, and that doesn't matter because what matters is flying drones and having fun, and we got a whole new beautiful world to explore up here.
All right, so are there any new drones that you're aware of? I mean, you talked a little bit about that in the past, in the previous podcast, but domestics are going to be hopefully making a big surge in 2023. But what about software? Is there any new software? I know we want to talk more about, and this will be coming in classes and so forth, about Optelos and the things they can do.
Yeah, that's going to be so big for the cellular aspect of the infrastructure stuff.
And utility.
Yeah, I know Precision Hawk got into Precision Tower, but in comparing the two and then comparing that to Pix4D Inspect, unfortunately for Pix4D, sorry friends, but Optelos it just blows it out of the water because literally you need half the amount of data. So acquisition time is significantly reduced. And the processing of those data sets, it is so lifelike. I mean, it makes capture reality look bad. And that's hard to say because capture reality, in my opinion, is like one of the best lifelike generators. The reason that Optelos is so good, the engine behind Optelos?
It's Bentley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so
which has been around for what, 30 years or something?
It's like CAD, yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's been around. I shouldn't say CAD because that's computer aided design. It's like Autodesk. It's been around for a very long time. So.
Yeah, doing great stuff. Anyways, so Optelos is something that we'll be talking more about, at least in our courses.
Yes.
And I think we may have them on the show at some point to talk in more depth about the amazing things that they've been doing. We were first introduced to them, early in Drone U's life, and we just sort of watched them develop, and that's pretty amazing. What else is happening in 2023? We've got our I think the commercial roofing industry is another solid industry, and we have a course on that. But some of the things I think that's burgeoning as well, and some of the opportunities and the way that roofing contractors are going to be using drones. There's some opportunity for pilots there. Again, we have a course on that, but I don't know what else comes to mind.
There's a particular speaker I really want to get on the show regarding this, because I think her name's Cody. She makes a really good point about, she tries to get people to buy traditional businesses and modernize them and just essentially bring in the regular revenue without changing stuff. And I think drones can be a huge part of modernizing various businesses. And I would challenge a lot of you to think about, what are the problems that are solved by these businesses? How can drones do it better? How do I tell that story? And it's got to work, right? You can't just tell a story that's made up BS, but it's got to work. And I think roofing contractors is a perfect example.
Yeah.
When you can reduce travel, get better data, do better planning, be more efficient, reduce the cost of the job because the planning is better, it's a no-brainer. So, I mean,
and we're going to have those guys on. I don't think that show happened.
No,
right?
that show has not happened yet. In fact, I just realized sitting here doing this podcast, the 3 people I need to contact immediately, because I have dropped the ball. But there's just so much going on here, and that's a huge blessing, not a problem. So grateful for that.
Indeed. What else? Anything else?
I think that's it. I think predictions is that USA and domestic drone manufacturers are going to significantly continue to take market share. I think that there's also going to be a come to Jesus moment for certain manufacturers who have claimed that their drones are NDAA compliant, but they're still completely made out of Chinese parts. And we all know it. And so I think that there is going to be a continued drive of inhibiting certain manufacturers, which is unfortunate because some manufacturers make really incredible drones, and they might be shooting themselves in the foot. So we'll see how that plays out. But
yeah,
I think that's going to do it for us today for our insights and predictions.
Time to do some production.
So thank you for joining us. If you have any points you feel like we didn't hit, any industry insights or topics,
what
or
are you
forecasting? Yeah, what are you seeing? Bring it up. AskDroneU.com. We definitely want to talk about it. So thank you to all of our members. Thank you to everyone in the community that is thriving. And thank you to everyone who has trusted DroneU to improve your flight skills. What we love is seeing your confidence grow. If you want to join us, thedroneu.com.